My name is Ryakitimbo. I'm from the Democratic Republic of Congo. I work with an organization called Core 23 Lab. It's an organization that works around technology and innovation in DRC. Our research project is called Gendering AI, a perspective from Francophone and Anglophone East Africa. It basically aims to unpack the biases of gender in AI from a perspective of two different lingua franca. Our research looks at the differences between Francophone East Africa and Anglophone East Africa when it comes to gendering AI. So we're basically looking at some of the key factors and drivers to why there are gender biases in artificial intelligence and if there are impacts of AI on genders. So what we're studying is things like gender disaggregated data. How are people building the data that they're using for AI? Is it balanced in terms of gender? Is it inclusive? At the same time, we're looking at how this data impacts the communities from a gender perspective. But we're also looking at what are the policies from a regional level. What is the East African community doing to structure how artificial intelligence impacts different genders? What are the specific countries as well doing in terms of policy, regulations, and laws on how gender can be impacted by artificial intelligence? But we're also trying to look at the teams which build these systems. Are they gender balanced? Because if you're building something from a perspective of one gender, then you won't be able to address the challenges of the other gender. But we're also trying to look at how all of this is affected by the structural and systematic barriers in the community, such as, culture. People come from patriarchal communities, which means that impacts how they build their systems. They think from a perspective of a man and not of a woman, and we want to change that so that at least we can have an AI that is responsive to all genders. But to couple all this up, we're also trying to come up with recommendations to different stakeholders. We want the government and other stakeholders to have an idea of what they can do to address gender challenges. But we're also looking at the tech field. How are they building? Who are they building with? How are they engaging different genders? And we're trying to give them a guideline on how they can build inclusively. And we're also trying to address the civil society. How are they advocating for policies that are actually addressing the challenges posed by artificial intelligence on gender? All this kind of shapes up a way in which we can be able to address how the region as a bloc is moving forward when it comes to artificial intelligence, but inclusively from a gender perspective. First of all, I'm a woman and our team is female-led, and we're all actually females. We have a representation of at least one man or two here assisting us, just because to get their perspective as well. But we're fully a women-led initiative. And in the process, the people we're interviewing women AI practitioners. You can imagine how hard it is to find women AI practitioners, not just researchers, women who are actually building AI products and not just ticking off a box to say there was a woman involved in the process. But at the same time, we are thinking of how we can also engage them in validating the results we get. So at the end of it all, we're going to have a workshop where we're going to bring women who are working on AI from different fields. So we'll bring women AI practitioners, we'll bring women AI policy makers, we'll bring women who are looking at things like data governance, who are looking at gender from a broader perspective to engage them in that scope. So generally, the whole design process and how we validate the results of the research is going to involve them at every step of the way. So the first challenge is that there is a very, very small number of women who actually practice AI. And when I talk of practice, I mean who actually build these AI models. So that's one challenge we're facing. And there's also a very huge gap between Anglophone and Francophone Africa. We're finding that Francophone Africa has less women engaged in that process. At the same time, they also have less policies that are looking at artificial intelligence than Anglophone Africa. So there's that gap that we're meeting a lot in our work. But at the same time, we're also facing a language barrier. We're trying to address that by engaging more people from both sides, Anglophone and Francophone, so we can be able to capture that. But there's also very limited research that specifically targets gender and AI from these countries that we work on. So we're basically building from scratch most of the cases for these specific countries. We have done a literature review that is basically looking at what has been done when it comes to gender in AI in Africa. So we've started from a continental level, we've moved to the regional level, and now we're looking at country specific. And the aim is to understand if these countries have AI strategies, Do they have policies that address the AI? Do they have gender and tech policies? And then we're narrowing that down to also researches that have been done by other stakeholders that are trying to address gender challenges when it comes to AI. So that will have an impact of setting the base of what is available, what is missing, and how can it be addressed. We have different stakeholders that we're targeting with the research, and the aim is that these stakeholders, they all have different roles to play. One, we want to be able to have policy recommendations that the government can be able to action in terms of how they create policies. But we also aim to have publications that will reach to stakeholders like civil societies, AI practitioners, to help them kind of think of gender. What do they have to consider when they're planning their projects? And at the end of all of this, we aim to ensure that we're building AI that is gender responsive, but at the same time we can be able to measure or at least have a say on saying we have this growth in number of women who are building AI products and products that are addressing gender concerns that are AI focused. So AI has a huge potential, but one of the biggest potential when it comes to gender is it has the opportunity to be inclusive or to address gender-specific concerns. For example, if we talk of health, we have so many health-related concerns for women that are very difficult to address because of the way the systems are structured in governments and also health institutions. So with AI, there's the possibility to decentralize those access to health to reach women in hard-to-reach communities. By this, I mean when we have AI solutions that address things like imaging challenges in health, like let's say reproductive health, which most people usually find to be a hard subject to breach or to even go to the government or hospitals and speak about, then we can facilitate it through AI to easily break down that bias and make it easy for people to access healthcare, especially women, because they have that huge challenge. There's potential for this research to be scaled to other domains. For example, we can look at things like how it can be applied to blockchain technology. We can look at how it can go into domains of agriculture, financial, tech as well, things like fintech, how it can be applied as well to health, solutions that are called femtech, solutions that are specifically for women in the health space. So this can help to kind of break down the barriers of how these systems or these domain areas can create AI technology that is gender inclusive.